Buying off plan, you actually can make some money, but it's not a straightforward process sometimes. What were some of the learnings is one, you got to look at your developers. So I went with a developer that was new to the market, but because of that, I was able to leverage the low capital intense upfront investment of 20%. So that made it attractive to me. But it was also hurdles because invest in a developer that's not very prevalent in the market, not many people know about them, which means it could make it more difficult for you to sell the unit at resale. That's where the bigger developers, the more well-known developers who have good finishing have an advantage. Now, what's the disadvantage with those big developers is intense upfront capital that you have to invest. Gone are the days where you're able to just invest 20% during construction and then 80% on handover with the big developers. That does not exist. Most developers now are, if you're lucky, between 40%, low end of that spectrum, up to 70, sometimes 80% during construction, which means it becomes really cash intensive. That's the downside. The other plus with some of the smaller developers is that you usually have better value when it comes to the size of the unit. So you're able to leverage bigger spaces versus the more higher quality developers that have smaller units, which means people who are used to maybe living in larger spaces are going to be more attracted to the smaller developers. And I think in my case, that was an advantage with my 2-bedroom versus the bigger developers. There's a number of things that you need to consider, but those were some of the high-level ones. If you are going to go with a smaller developer, you make sure that you're getting the best unit in that building, right? So that you have a strategic advantage at resale. That's something I would do and that I have done when it comes to purchasing off plan. In summary, it was an interesting, wonderful experience. I'm glad I did it. A little more intense than I would have estimated when it came to snagging, when it came to, putting it in the open market.